In this video, I want to talk about what makes a video game replayable. In a world full of thousands of games, what makes you want to go back to a certain game and replay it after its first completion? Or just keep playing it? Through some heavy research, aka Reddit, I've narrowed it down to 5 factors that influence a game's replay value. The plot is probably the most obvious factor, as it has a big influence on how fun and enjoyable a game is, which in turn influences the game's replay value. If playing through a game feels good, you'll want to play it again. That simple. For me, that game is The Last of Us. There's something about the zombie survival game and the relationship between Joel and Ellie that just really pulls me in. And it's a game I replay more often than I should admit. Obviously, different games will have this effect on different people. And chances are, even in a game you love, there will be parts of the game you dread having to play through. For me in The Last of Us, that's the winter season, where you must play as Ellie. Fortunately, that part is much farther in the game, and can even be skipped in your replay, but that's not the case for every game. Let's look at Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, arguably the best Paper Mario game with so many amazing chapters, but it also has some annoying chapters that, when I think about replaying the game, those chapters stop me from playing. The Great Boggly Tree chapter, and even the chapter where Mario is on the moon, are both subpar chapters that unfortunately you must play through if you want to beat the game again. It's reasons like these that I would rather play Paper Mario on the 64 over 1000 Year Door, because I don't dislike any of the chapters in Paper Mario on the 64, even though overall I love 1000 Year Door more. There's also the linearity of the plot. Both Last of Us and Paper Mario are linear games, where each playthrough is essentially the same each time, and for some, that has a big negative impact on the replay value of a game. Some will argue that a game with a linear plot would typically have a lower replay value due to the limited choices you can make, versus games that offer more choices regarding what a player can do, resulting in a different experience each playthrough. The latest trend seems to be open world games, where you can decide in what order to complete tasks or what areas to explore. Games like Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, and most recently, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, offer these open world, non-linear adventures to players. There's still a story to follow, but the way to follow it is influenced by players' choices, and so you're more likely to have a different experience replaying the game. Downloadable content is tricky, because lately it feels we've been getting extra content that really should have just been included in the initial game's release. Like, did Mario Golf Super Rush really need DLC? The extra courses and characters we got over the span of 3 updates could have just been made available from the beginning. Or perhaps they could have been made unlockables, that the player must challenge themselves to unlock like the good old days. But downloadable content can also be the key to a game's longevity. Let's look at Animal Crossing: New Horizons. Without question, one of the best games to provide entertainment during the rise of COVID. A simple game where you live your simple life and do whatever you want at your own pace. But the thing about Animal Crossing is it's only fun if you have friends and family playing the game too. And naturally, over time, the game does become a bit repetitive. But with downloadable content, Nintendo can keep the game fresh by introducing new updates, which they tried to do, but unfortunately the updates we got were nothing groundbreaking. We got new seasonal items and events, the ability to swim and go to some new islands. But really? Does Nintendo really think bringing back Brewster and his coffee shop is going to be enough to keep players playing? New Horizons is an example of bad downloadable content. But let's look at an example of a game where, when done right, downloadable content can keep the replay value of the game high. Stardew Valley, a similar game to Animal Crossing in that it's an open-ended game where the player can take on various activities, is also a game that has had a lot of updates since its release in 2016. And I'm not just talking adding in a pigeon that serves coffee. I'm talking new buildings, new farm maps, new quests, and the most important update, the option to get divorced. This is the extra content every simulation role-playing game needs. Some of the most popular games utilize performance grading, which encourages players to repeat and fully master previously completed levels, with a star rating or letter grading system, where you're graded for how well you performed in finishing each level. The intent is to encourage players to find ways to play certain levels better than they did before, and gain a sense of satisfaction, and ultimately self-worth, from achieving the highest performance rating for each level. What better example of this than Tetris, the best-selling game of all time with 520 million copies sold as of 2022. Tetris is timeless, and I never get bored with being told how much I suck at playing it. Performance grading is also found in a number of modern multi-level games, like Overcooked, A cooperative cooking game where you can work with friends to prepare and cook orders in absurd restaurants where you'll scream and stress trying to earn 3 stars in each level. If you can honestly say you earned 3 stars in each level in Overcooked and Overcooked 2, then fuck you. I think we can all agree that a game that is played online or has online features helps increase the replay value, since the other human-controlled players provide more variety in gameplay compared to AI bots. I mean, let's look at the Mario Party games. Playing Mario Party with 3 computers just isn't as fun as playing with 3 friends. And if Mario Party Superstars didn't offer online gameplay, it wouldn't be very often I'd play the game, since it's not very often I have friends coming over. The same thing can be said for other popular Nintendo games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate or Mario Kart. All very fun games to play with friends, but not so much alone. And with the ability to play online in these games, it helps people want to continue to play. That and all the DLC these games continue to get. Seriously, Mario Kart 8 came out in 2014 and we're still getting DLC into 2023. Just give us Mario Kart 9, goddammit. But then there are games that are focused solely on being played online. Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, a battle royale game where up to 60 human players compete against each other in a series of minigames to be the last standing jelly bean, became one of the most popular games when it was first released in 2020. Within 24 hours of release, the game had an active player base of more than 1.5 million players, and soon became the most downloaded monthly PS Plus game of all time. Unfortunately, over time, Fall Guys has failed to hold on to that popularity. But then you have games like Fortnite, another online game with 3 distinct mode versions, one being similar to Fall Guys where you play in a battle royale game with up to 100 players to be the last person standing. The difference is that every single time people think Fortnite is going to fade away or die off, it manages to come back as strong as ever, doing an effective job at keeping people hooked with new characters, abilities, game types, or new settings to keep things fresh like tilapia. Gone are the days where you actually have to unlock new characters or content through playing the game, but for games that still require this, it increases the replay value, even if it can be annoying. Let's go back to Mario Golf. No, not Super Rush, but Toadstool Tour. In Toadstool Tour, there are 4 different characters to unlock, one of which was Bowser Jr., which requires you to putt a birdie on 18 holes in a row in Birdie Challenge. That challenge alone took me countless hours in 2003, but it was also one of my biggest accomplishments when I unlocked Bowser Jr. I live a sad life, I know. But it's challenges like these that push players to keep playing a game, because naturally you want to unlock everything you can in a game, whether it's all the characters in Super Smash Bros., or all the outfitted boards in SSS Tricky. Having everything you can unlock in a game almost gives you bragging rights to your friends. Even if it's the smallest thing you can unlock, the goal of unlocking everything is enough for a player to keep replaying. In Super Mario Galaxy, there are 120 stars to unlock, but once you beat the game, you unlock and can play as Luigi, where if you play the game again as Luigi, there is a special 121st star to unlock, the true final star in the game. Knowing there was this extra star to collect, even after beating the game as Mario, I was propelled to beat it again with Luigi. There are also the final 5 character stamps in Super Mario 3D World, where in order to collect these stamps, you must beat all the levels with each character. This is pretty fucking crazy when you realize that means you must beat Champion's Road, one of the hardest courses in the Mario franchise, with all 5 characters. All this effort for goddamn stamps. Now, I also want to highlight that there are many, many different factors outside of the 5 that I mentioned that influence a game's replay value, some of which are very creative. Some games encourage replaying missions or levels by adding the time trial and time attack modes, where you must try and beat the mission or level in the quickest time. Other times, players themselves impose new special restrictions on a game to make it more difficult, even if the game is linear. Speedrunning, the art of playing video games as fast as possible, has become very popular over the years. Then there's challenges like beating Super Mario Odyssey without ever jumping, or the mind-blowing challenge of speedrunning and beating Super Mario 64 blindfolded, as accomplished by Twitch streamer Bubzia early in 2022. The reality is there are so many different factors that could lead to a player replaying the game, and I'm excited to see what new factors come out of the gaming community in the years to come. What other factors do you think influence a game's replay value? And what are some of the games you love to replay? Let us know in the comments. Happy holidays, everyone, and remember to keep pressing A.